discuss issues about this thing called life. Thank you, my dear viewers, for tuning into this episode. I invite you to please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and Facebook page. Buhay Parang Life is part of FaithWatch TV, and I ask you to download the FaithWatch app on your mobile device. We read and value your comments, so please feel free to write down your comments and suggestions below. We have a young, fine gentleman with us today. Nagkasama kami nito sa Pro-Life Philippines. He used to work with the foundation as writer sa mga website and our correspondence. He recently migrated to the US, pero I'm able to catch him while he is here in the country. Ang ganda ng topic natin ngayon, spiritual masculinity. Please welcome to the program, Anthony James Perez, or AJ as we like to call him. Hi, AJ.
Magandang araw po sa lahat. Magandang araw, Tita Rita. Thank you sa pag-invite sa akin.
Of course, AJ. Naku, mabuti na lang at nahuli kita. AJ, you give talks on chastity and masculinity. I would say, isa ka dun sa mga konting lalaki na nagtuturo ng chastity. Now, let's talk about spiritual masculinity. Unang-una, itong masculinity, parang our generation, the young people right now, medyo hindi yata naiintindi. Or maybe the young men, or some, I don't want to generalize, may ibang kabataang lalaki that they do not appreciate their manness or their masculinity. Tell us, what exactly is being a man? Ano yung masculinity?
Well, ang bare minimum doon ay yung pagiging male, no? That is the bare minimum. If you have the right chromosomes, then you are male, no? Sa ngayon, many people are confused na they say that men can be women and women can be men. No? And that is part of that's part of the reason that I am writing the book. Pero going back to masculinity, if we want the bare minimum, I'd say, yun na nga, you have to be male. Pero in my book, I am not just about, I'm not referring to just yung yung masculinity, but spiritual masculinity, which is to go back to the roots of our being male and being men, no? Kumbaga,
tell us more, AJ, for our viewers. What exactly is spiritual masculinity?
It means you have to go back to the roots of our maleness, kumbaga, no? And the root, the very foundation and the root of our maleness is, of course, God, no? Nababasa sa Genesis, no? That God created them male and female. I cannot write anything about females, no? Baka sabihin ay mansplaining ako. Pero maybe I'll try in the future. But for now, my forte, dun sa nakikita kong prevailing culture, dun sa mga research ko, and of course, my experience as a male prompted me to write something about masculinity. And sa ngayon, ang daming ang confusion when it comes to what being a male is. So I wrote a book not just about masculinity, but spiritual masculinity, which is to go back to God and what is His plan for us men, no? And you know, may core values ang spiritual masculinity that I talk about in the book, which we can talk about in this program for the next, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour.
So sabi mo, sinulat mo nga itong libro, no? To teach the men out there about really spiritual masculinity. Bakit? In your experience, in your encounter with people, may confusion ba about being male, about masculinity?
Well, yes, there's a lot of confusion going around. Pero my first motivation was in writing this book was actually my own experience. Nung ako ay nandyan, naabutan naman natin lahat ito nung ako ay nagtatrabaho sa pro-life, right until umalis ako dito sa Pilipinas. I was not really living out my authentic and true masculine self. No. I was
Define
really
that. Define that, AJ, for the sake of our viewers. Ano ba pag sinabi mong you are living out your authentic, ano pa isa mong word? Authentic and
authentic and true masculine
true.
self.
Kasi alam mo yung authenticity
Yes.
ngayon, buzzword yan eh. Oo.
Yes. Kaya nga ano eh,
Ano,
kaya nga I didn't go for authenticity. I went if you want to go to be authentic, you have to be spiritual. Pero yun na nga, even before I left for the States, let's say I wasn't really masculine. From the physical point of view, I was really sick. Hindi lang halata. Although siguro halata, no? I had diabetes. My
oh,
sleep apnea was really severe, no?
all right.
I don't know kung naabutan niyo ako sa office dati, pero talagang
Natutulog ka ba sa opisina?
I was really sleepy 24/7.
And
So,
bata ka pa ha, AJ. Bata ka pa ilang taong ka no, nung nagkasama tayo.
late 30s. Yeah,
And
late
already
30s.
you were suffering from those diseases, illness.
Well, kasi yung ano, yung sleep apnea, I had that even in my 20s. Yung pagiging overweight ko to the point na almost morbidly obese na ako really exacerbated it, and made it worse. So, patong-patong yung mga sakit eh. And because of yung sakit ko, I couldn't land a proper job, and dahil, alam niyan, domino effect siya. So, I decided to
Okay.
make some changes for myself. Itong book na to reflects that journey I made towards spiritual masculinity. And the journey I'm still taking. It's an ongoing process that which I wanted to share with my fellow men, because I wanted them to realize that there's a way out of the rut, kumbaga. Uh, Hindi sila mas stuck dun sa ano nila, sa face ng buhay
So
nila.
nung iniisip mo, when you were reflecting on your life, ano yung tingin mo na mga kailangan mong palitan? And what exactly were the changes that you made?
Ayun. These are the changes that I made, no? And these are actually the chapters in my book that I'm referring to. Um, the first change I made was responsibility. This is one of the first few chapters of my book. Uh, you can't blame the whole world for all your troubles. You're only a man when you become responsible for others, and the first person you're responsible for is yourself.
Okay.
So many people are, taking in, families, asawa, pero hindi pa sila responsible sa sarili. So it's their families that suffer. No,
So,
so that was the
ganun
first
ba yung
lesson that I.
AJ, ganun ba yung state of mind mo when before you made those changes that you were blaming others but not yourself? Medyo may ganun ba? Parang
Yes,
kasi,
yes. Because, I was giving talks, pro-life
right,
talks,
oo,
chastity
active
talks.
ka sa movement eh.
I was giving talks about spiritual battles and warfare
Right.
as well. So ang naisip ko, this must be an assault from demonic forces, kasi ginagawa ko ang trabaho ng Diyos sa isip ko, na kaya ako
Mm.
mahirap, kaya ako unhealthy, kaya ako
Kasi may
financially.
kumakalaban na demonic
Yeah,
forces.
it's so much easier to blame the devil and the whole world for all your misfortunes. Pero it takes guts to be able to admit na sandali, ako yung may kasalanan nito. Maybe I need to make changes to my lifestyle, to my mentality, to my mindset, and make those small changes. Not necessarily those big changes, but small incremental changes na mag-a-add up to make those big changes. Kasi personally, napagod na rin ako eh, na
Pagod
I'm
ka.
tired of blaming others. I'm tired of blaming the devil. Parang sabi ko, I need to man up and say, I will control my life
What was
from
the
now on.
tipping point? You were in the US. Ano yung tipping point? Dahil lang ba hindi ka busy? Hindi ba kalabas ng
Well,
bahay?
ang hirap kasi ang hirap makahanap ng trabaho during that time kasi pandemic.
Pandemic.
No
All
one
right.
was taking people in. And medyo I was getting pressure from my family. Sabi, kailan ka magtatrabaho? Kailangan mag-apply ka na. And the thing with the US is apply ka lang naman ng apply eh. Basta hindi ka
Right.
mapili na sa trabaho,
Meron
uh,
naman.
meron at meron.
Correct.
Yung pride ko nun kept me from,
From taking
accepting
odd
jobs.
jobs.
Kasi
Oh,
sabi ko, dito sa Pilipinas, speaker ako, ang dami kong mga certificates, dami kong
right.
naging, pero at some point, sabi ko, I'm left with $80 here in my pocket. I can't buy what I want to buy. Nakatira pa rin ako sa tatay ko. And I was getting pressure from my family. And finally said, sige na nga, I'll take a job.
Oh,
And fortunately, may kumuha sa akin. Uh, Mainly because, well, hindi naman ako introvert. Hindi rin man ako super extrovert. My first job was a busser, restaurant busser and restaurant host. Taga-wipe ng tables,
yung ano, yung tables, yung kung
Yes, yes,
yung uupo, you
yes.
will sit them.
I will seat them table for how many?
Right,
Ganyan,
right.
welcome to Country Rose Cafe. Would you like to drink? And doon ko na-realize na akala ko mapapahiya ako, akala ko ma-humble ako. In a way, yes, na-humble ako. Pero I found dignity in that work. Kasi sa sariling sikap ko, I was getting sweldo, I was getting tips, and I
Mm-hmm.
was gathering new friends. So sabi ko, this must be, that nice feeling of being able to, work. Kasi for the longest time, hindi ako makapagtrabaho eh. Yun yung naging unang trabaho ko. I then took on 2 jobs. Kasi sa sobrang eager ko magtrabaho for the first time in my life, I was really eager to work and, be responsible for my life. Kasi kumikita ako eh. And nagtrabaho ko sa Habitat for Humanity. And apparently, I did such a good job sa Habitat that they promoted me after 5 months. No?
All right.
So, yeah, so
So you
naging
were keeping
supervisor.
3 jobs? 3 jobs ka?
No, no, no. Nung naging supervisor ako nung na-promote ako as supervisor sa Habitat, I had to give up ano,
Oh, you
the
had to
other
work
job.
now full-time. Full-time ka na.
Yes, kasi
Oh,
full-time
di
na
lalo
and I
yung
was in charge of other
self-confidence mo
people.
na,
It was really a boost kasi yung trabaho ko sa Habitat was basically kargador. Tumatanggap kami ng donations like furniture,
right,
appliances.
correct.
Di pwedeng hindi ka magbuhat eh. Akala ko kahera lang ako dun eh. I was really able to prove something to myself at my 40s. And that started with, yung responsibility. There are other, virtues that I was able to, learn. And those are the next chapters of the book. Pero it all started with personal responsibility. Don't blame others. Just, take charge of your life.
Yan ang ibig sabihin ng pagiging lalaki. Take charge of
Yes.
your life, no? Wag
Yeah.
magsisisi ng iba. What
Yes.
else? Ano pang core values ng spiritual masculinity? And paano may dudugtong yan sa ating Panginoon? Oo, no? He took charge of his life, no? Wala naman siyang sinisi, no? Nung
Yes.
nakapapa sa krus, no?
Actually, he was in all things he was like us except sin. But he bore the weight of the sin of the world. He took responsibility for the sins of the world and carried the cross for us. And
Yes.
kasama yun yung aspect ng responsibility na parang in connection with what the Lord did. The second value is of course sacrifice.
What is that
And
again?
sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
Yes.
Okay. Nako, alam mo, yung sacrifice, hindi yan nagre-resonate sa kabataan ngayon eh.
Yes, kasi it all started in my generation where naalala ko pa yung laging pangaral sa amin nung teenagers kami. Kayo kasi uh, gusto nyo laging instant, no? Kaya may instant coffee, may instant noodles,
Right.
ganyan. Pagdating dito sa generation na to, um, they want everything all at once. They want to be validated through social media. Gusto nila ay fina-follow sila. Kahit wala namang masyadong lalim or yung,
Wala.
kumbaga,
Minsan
wala,
naglalakad
walang,
lang
oo.
or
Minsan,
konting moves.
minsan, yeah, prank lang para lang may ano para lang sa sa likes, sa views,
Right,
ganon.
right, right.
The value of sacrifice is something that is essential to all men. All women din. Pero most especially yung sa aming mga lalaki dahil
Bakit? Bakit?
you will have to bear the cross as Christ did. And si Kristo, nagkatawang tao siya. He was a man. He set the example for all men. Na first and foremost, ako ay tao at ako ay lalaki. I have to follow that example of Christ na nagkatawang tao bilang lalaki. And there are many things in this life that require sacrifice. Not only, ang inisip kasi natin pag sacrifices yung delaying gratification. Yes, that's part of it. Um, pero when you, especially in this world na napakaraming kumokontra sa iyong traditional family values, sa iyong faith, someday you would have to stand up and say, sandali, mali na ito eh. No? Hindi tama itong ginagawa ng lipunan, hindi tama itong tinuturo ah, sa mga schools,
Mga
ah,
kabataan. Oo.
mga kabataan. And as a man, you would have to be the protector of your family, not only from physical dangers, but from spiritual dangers as well. And all that requires sacrifice. Uh, so it starts from delaying gratification, being able to focus on what is important in life. And at the same time, standing up for what is right. Ngayon kasi uso na yung cancel culture, no? Papahiyain ka sa online, ganito, post
Right.
yung picture mo, yes. Napaka-toxic eh. But if you really are a man of God, no? As you are called to be, dapat talaga marunong ka magsakripisyo.
AJ, in most Filipino, I don't know about American families, pero ang observation ko sa Filipino families, it's usually the women, the mothers, who are parang on top of the game as far as the formation, the spiritual formation of children, as far as church is concerned. Anong masasabi mo dito?
And
So, dapat
yeah,
talaga lalaki?
and that should not be the case. Kasi I believe, and inindicate ko rin yun sa libro ko, na ang lalaki ay ang spiritual leader ng family. Um, Dapat sila yung nangunguna sa dasal, sila yung nangunguna sa pag-catechize ng kanilang mga anak. And remember, the family is the first church. The
Right.
domestic church is the first church. Dito sila unang dapat natututo ng catechism matungkol kay God. So, I believe that it should be the men who is
It
lead,
should
who
be
are
the
who should be leading
men.
this. Yes. Although
Mhm.
syempre dapat tumutulong din yung mga ating mga nanay, no?
Usually
But
kasi yung babae siya yung nasa simbahan eh, di ba? kami yung
tapos yung
mas
lalaki
nasa
nasa
simbahan.
inuman.
Oh, kami yung mas, kailangan magsimba, the sacraments, ganun. So, pero dapat pala lalaki.
If there, yeah.
Is that part of being, of the spiritual masculinity that you are talking about?
Yes. Kasi in the book that I'm writing, I'm referring to spiritual masculinity with the values, of course, of responsibility, sacrifice, truth, and temperance. And I also say there, na sinulat ko doon na ang isang lalaki, ang isang husband, should be the protector, the provider, and the priest of the family. No?
Three P's yan, ha?
Protector, of course,
Protector, provider,
yeah,
and the
provider,
priest.
and the priest.
Meaning,
Protector, yung protector na pag-usapan na natin kanina, he should protect his family against the physical and spiritual dangers.
right,
Provider, of course,
yeah, food on
economic
the table, yeah.
realities, etc. He is also
The
the
priest,
priest of the family because he should be the one bringing his family closer to God and God closer to his family. So yun yung role niya yun. Tatlong yun. So three P's. Priest, provider, and
ang
protector.
lalaki talaga ang priest, no?
Yes.
Bringing the family
Mhm.
closer to God. So
Yes.
challenging nga, lalo na kung ang lalaki hindi talaga maka-Diyos o makasimbahan, no? So
Mm.
kailangan so
And
ano ang role ng parenting dito? Kailangan pala tayo mga magulang, no? Siguraduhin ang mga lalaki, ang mga anak nating lalaki.
if I were
Pa.
to have sons, ang iniisip ko dyan is I want to raise them the way that I am right now so that they would be good husbands to their future wives who would bring their families closer to God as well. So, ganun din. No?
Yeah, right.
In
Okay.
fact, ang gusto ko nga is the first words of my children, especially if they're boys, no? Mama, Papa, and Jesus. Yun ang
Yeah.
gusto kong first words
Jesus
nila.
talaga. Paka-Diyos agad, sa Diyos agad. So ano pa? Ano pa?
Yes.
So you have given two of the four core values of spiritual masculinity. Ano pa yung dalawa?
Yes. Number three, unahin ko yung last chapter kasi
Okay,
yung
sure.
yung pangatlong value kasi na ihuhuli ko is connected yun dun sa topic ng wokeism. Number three is temperance. Temperance is to be able to, you know, want something, you you want something, you want to indulge in something, pero iniisip mo muna, tama ba itong gagawin ko or um, hindi ba makakasama itong gagawin ko? It's
Iisipin mo.
normal, yeah, normal naman na isipin natin na, ay, ang sarap mong ano. Gusto ko nang, parang, gutom ako, so gusto ko mag-buffet. No? Yan
Correct.
yung mentality ko dati. Or, nagtawag ng inuman yung mga kabarkada ko, dapat, sige, ano, pangit
Go
naman kung
yan.
tumanggi ako. To be able to say that you are a man of temperance means itong mga emotions na to, itong urges na to, itong mga appetites ko, nakokontrol ko so they don't control me. And that is what temperance is. No? Kasi ayokong lumaking lasinggero.
Correct.
Ayokong lumaking mga anak ko na nakita nila yung tatay nila ay lasinggero, babaero, ganyan. And
Gambler.
na, yes, gano'n. Um, Gusto ko rin, in-emphasize ko rin sa book ko na isa sa parang kailangan maging temperate ang isang lalaki is yung kanyang sexual appetites. So I uh, devoted some pages tungkol sa pornography. Yun yung sa tingin kong napakalalang epidemic ng ating panahon. Did you
Uh,
know na
how
yes,
does pornography contribute to a man's lack of temperance?
ano kasi once you watch pornography, it really changes up your brain to the point kasi na if you're watching pornography, it's a dopamine in releasing activity, especially pag may sexual release. If I may get technical, kasi kasama rin to dun sa book.
Okay.
It means na the dopamine is a feel-good hormone. And ang mangyayari niyan is your brain associates porn watching and sexual release to feeling good. Ang problema dyan is um, you end up watching more and more extreme forms of pornography. And palala ng palala yung
Palala ng
yung
palala.
kind ng gusto mong pornography. For example, ang dating pinapanood mo lang is between one man and one woman. Eventually, kakapanood mo, normal na sa'yo yan parang hindi ka na shocked. Hindi na, your body is not going through the same things that, you were going through nung una mo napanood yun. So, papanoorin mo na ngayon is dalawang babae or dalawang lalaki until mas extreme, pa-extreme yung pinapanood mo.
Okay, so
And
admittedly, that is harmful, super harmful to young men. what would you say to adult men who tells you that I am an adult, I am, old enough to handle pornography?
Alam nyo, may mga housewives who PM me, nag-PM sila sa akin sa Facebook. Kasi I post about
Okay.
pornography and chastity.
Mm.
Nag-PM sila, Kuya, ano bang gagawin ko sa husband ko? Nung pandemic daw kasi, nagsimula sila nung habit nung pornography.
Okay.
And
Walang
it
magawa
got to the
kasi.
point na naglalak daw sila ng pinto sa bahay. Naglalak daw sila ng pinto. And hindi na sila pinapansin, hindi na rin sila nagtatalik. Ang ano yan, naapektuhan yung kanilang relationship, no? This is what I'm gonna say to these men na sinasabi, ano lang naman, pantasya lang naman yan. At least
Right,
hindi ko
right.
ginagawa
Kaya ko
sa
yan, di
totoong
ba?
buhay.
Right.
Yes. How can you say na hindi apektado ang magiging mentality mo, ang magiging ugali mo, ang magiging buhay mo if you're watching really extreme videos every day and maybe for 1 hour, 2 hours a day. And how can you say na ikaw ay magiging isang normal na tao while still watching extreme pornography when the science and the data prove otherwise? No, hindi talaga maganda para sa anyone ang pornography. No, kasi si
All
Jesus
right.
na rin naman nagsabi nun eh, if you look at a woman or a man for
With
that matter
us.
with lust, then you've already
Right.
committed adultery. No? Kahit na hindi mo ginawa mismo doon sa tao, iniisip mo pa lang, kasalanan na yun.
Kasalanan na. So
Yes.
so to debunk the thinking of other couples that it enhances their marital embrace, the otherwise is actually true. Hindi totoo.
Yes, ano nga eh. I learned this from this famous neuroscientist. Ang pangalan niya si Andrew Huberman. He
Okay.
is not Catholic. He is in no way religious. Pero sabi niya, the brain is a learning machine. If you teach even if matanda ka na, if you teach your brain something, it will learn it. And if the more you watch and consume pornography, the more you're teaching your brain that sexual arousal is ideal kapag ikaw ay nanonood ng dalawang tao o grupo ng tao nagtatalik. And kapag when you're experiencing the real thing, mahirap yung arousal because your brain has learned na ang arousal comes from watching, not from engaging it.
Not from the marital embrace, not from the
Yes.
act. Okay.
Yes.
Right, AJ. And the last or the fourth
Yes,
core
the fourth
value
value is about truth.
truth.
Totohanan, no? People nowadays would like to say na, truth is relative. Na what is your truth is might not be my
Not my
truth.
truth.
Mga ganong klaseng, yes.
Iba-iba na nga
Uh,
eh. Hindi mo na nga alam minsan kung anong totoo.
yes. Ang daming ideologies nowadays that are harmful to not only to the spiritual and mental uh, health of our children, but also to the physical aspects of our people as well, and then especially the children. Ito
Alright.
yung tinatawag na wokeism. I define wokeism as
Ano ba yung
the
vocation na yan? Parang bago yung
yeah,
technology na yan.
yeah, ang term ngayon is kapag ikaw ay nagpo-pursue ng social justice, ikaw ay woke, ganun. Dilat ka sa injustices ng society. Yun ang popular notion ng kung ano yung woke.
Okay.
And,
So,
which is really very ideal sounding.
sana. Yeah, ideal sounding.
Yes.
Ano yung but dyan?
Pero
Ano yung
but wokeism, if you really study it, and you cannot study it without going to its roots, which is the West, particularly America. And
Mhm.
nandun ako, nakita ko yung wokeism firsthand. Ang napansin ko is wokeism is the pursuit of social justice without the benefit of Christian values. tayo kasi mga Katoliko, we have, Catholic social teaching. We teach that there should be social justice. Iba yung notion ng social justice sa mga woke, the oppressor versus the oppressed. Yan yung framework nila.
Mhm.
Mayroong oppressor na nag-oppress ng mga
Master and
oppressed, like
slave.
the patriarchy na sinasabi ng mga feminist.
Correct.
Yung mga bigots at mga homophobic na tao na ayaw tumanggap ng LGBT policies, gano'n, na hindi katanggap-tanggap sa kanila mga LGBT na relationships. This is a form of what you call cultural Marxism. Ang lalim no? Kasi
Oh,
sa Marxism kasi there's yung mga business owners versus the workers. Yun yung clash. Yun yung classic Marxism. Pero
okay.
under cultural Marxism, meron kang oppressor or at least an apparent oppressor and an oppressed group of people. And in the Valley of Truth, sa spiritual masculinity, dapat you're able to distinguish what is really true from what is ideology in order to protect yourself, your family, and your community.
All right, we will stop here, AJ. In the next episode, we will hear more about this thing called wokeism and ano sa ba? Cultural ba?
Marxism.
Cultural Marxism. Nako, napakaganda po yan. Abangan nyo. Okay, I will see you again. This is Rita Dairit reminding you today, haba-habaan po ang pasensya sapagkat ang buhay parang life.